That's unthinkable to me. That you have an opportunity in your lifetime to be a professional, that you think about quitting. See, you don't quit it, and you don't quit in sports. You retire. You don't get to quit. It's not an option. See, someone told me that a long time ago. That ain't even an option. And the person told me that, he ain't here anymore. He died. This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Randall Handles Football Podcast. I'm your host, Randall Tevas. So, on Monday, July 6th, we had some breaking news around the NFL that Patrick Mahomes, the starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, had signed a new mega contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. This contract was a 10-year contract for $450 million. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. So, of course, this makes him the highest paid, not just quarterback in the entire NFL, but the highest paid player in the NFL, the highest paid player ever in the NFL. Okay, so just like that, he signs a contract that's going to give him about $500 million. Now, my first reaction to this is, why who needs this kind of money, right? And so, as we know, the salaries are increasing. They have been increasing over the last 20 years. Every time there is a new contract signed, these players are becoming the new highest paid players. So it was only a matter of time before Patrick Mahomes got his deal done. And so he gets it done. It's going to pay him for an average salary of $45 million per year over the next 10 years. Well, so he still has 2 more years left on his existing deal. So this 10-year contract extension will start after these next 2 years. However, a lot of that $450 million, they're going to give him up front this coming season as a signing bonus, if you will. So it says that by March of next year, he'll have earned $105 million. Okay. And so a lot of that is going to come in the form of a bonus, of roster bonuses, signing bonuses, and just upfront money that the Chiefs, the Chiefs will hand him this money and it'll allow for the roster flexibility later on. So even though his contract is going to pay him on average $45 million per year, he's not actually going to get $45 million per year. Okay, it's going to be probably closer in the range of $35 million, but just with all of these bonuses that he's going to be doing, incentives, it inflates the numbers and makes it look a lot larger than what it really is. So last season, Patrick Mahomes missed a few games. I believe it was 3 games after he dislocated his kneecap in a Sunday night or Monday night game last season. It was on a 4th and 1 play where they decided to do a QB sneak, and like I said, he basically dislocated his kneecap. So he does have that little bit of injury history, and so in their contract, if he does get hurt and has to end his career, the Chiefs are only on the hook for $140 million. Okay. So there is this injury clause that says, hey, if you get hurt, we're only going to pay you so much amount of money. This isn't anything new. All players get this kind of contract. Most players have their contracts guaranteed for maybe the first year or 2 years. But after that, it's a shame that football works like this, that the NFL works like this. But football is one of those sports where these contracts are not actually guaranteed to the players. Okay, if you think in terms of basketball, if LeBron James were to sit out for the rest of his career, he's still going to be given his contract. He's still obligated. He will still get all of his money. It doesn't work like that in football. The same thing in baseball. If a player were to get surgery and, never returns to his star caliber form, he's going to get paid his entire contract in the full amount. In the NFL, it just doesn't work that way. This is something that the players union has been fighting for many, many years. You know, there was a big step in the right direction where Kirk Cousins 2 years ago signed the fully guaranteed contract with the Minnesota Vikings. I think it was a 3-year, $94 million contract that he signed at the time that was fully guaranteed. So that is a step in the right direction. He became the first player ever to actually get a fully guaranteed contract, but it's just not something that we're going to see anytime soon. So the Chiefs are on the hook for $140 million in the case that Patrick Mahomes does get hurt. And again, like I said, he does have that injury history. You know, once you dislocate your kneecap, the chances of it happening again are actually a lot higher than it was before. So, of course, no one wishes that upon him, but you know, there is that safety net for the Chiefs in case something like that were to happen. So now just looking at, you know, why it is that Mahomes deserves this contract. He's been playing in the NFL. So he's been in the NFL for 3 years, but of course his rookie year, he sat behind Alex Smith and learned a little bit. So he's really been a quarterback for the last 2 years in Kansas City. Of course, his first season starting in 2018, he lit the NFL on fire as he threw for 50 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards, and of course took home the MVP honors. And of course, last year we have the famous game against the San Francisco 49ers where he led the extraordinary fourth quarter comeback. They were down 20-10 with about 8 minutes to go, and he scored 3 consecutive touchdowns and ultimately won the game 31-20, so had that comeback. So he did win the Super Bowl last year. And as I said before, he is one of my favorites to win the Super Bowl this coming year as well. So, you know, let's be honest. He's a generational talent. You know, I think he is the best pure quarterback, pure passer in the entire NFL. He makes it look so easy. He just stands there, slings the ball. He can throw it left-handed. He can throw it underhand. He can do all these crazy things and make these unbelievable throws. And that, like I said, he deserves it. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. So, you know, it's a big congratulations to him. Now, the only downside I have with this is, you know, how good of a quarterback would he really be if he didn't have the talent around him? So if we look back to Alex Smith's last season as a starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, they had Travis Kelce, they had a Tyreek Hill, and they had Kareem Hunt. They had all these weapons who we all already knew that the Kansas City Chiefs offense was very good, right? We knew that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were all explosive players. And Alex Smith showed that in his last season with the Chiefs when he put up career highs in yards, touchdowns, and career lows in interceptions. He threw for over 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions in the entire season. Like I said, those are career numbers. You know, I think that Patrick Mahomes is a product of playing in Andy Reid's system. Andy Reid has been known to be somewhat of a quarterback whisperer. He has an offensive scheme, offensive play calling that really makes it very friendly for the quarterbacks. Going all the way back to his days in Philadelphia when he had Donovan McNabb as his quarterback and Michael Vick, right? Both, you know, we all thought that Vick's career was over before he went back to the Eagles after his dogfighting scandal. And he revitalized and showed that he was a terrific quarterback. Well, was he really that good of a quarterback, or was it literally just the scheme, just the offense that he was in under Andy Reid? And so we saw the same thing when Alex Smith went to Kansas City and played under Andy Reid, and we're seeing the same thing now with Patrick Mahomes playing under Andy Reid. Now, like I said, don't get me wrong, I do think that Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. You know, obviously you can't just get through it just in the scheme alone, but you have to have talent as well. And I think that Mahomes does have that. However, I think he does greatly benefit from playing under Andy Reid's offense. So like I said, you know, they have Travis Kelce, they have Sammy Watkins, they have Tyreek Hill, you know, they have Damian Williams. They have all these different weapons that really make his life a whole lot easier. I argue that if you put most any quarterback in that exact same system with all those pieces around them, they would all be looking terrific as well. Let's look at Jimmy Garoppolo, just for instance. If Jimmy Garoppolo was on that team with all those weapons, he would probably be looking like a star or two and a stud too, and would probably be deserving of this mega contract as well. So, you know, a part of this that's making Patrick Mahomes look so good is that his receivers have this blazing speed that can get wide open. He just makes the throw to get it to them that are wide open. So, that is a bit of this as well. If you compare Tom Brady's career to what we've seen from Patrick Mahomes, when did Tom Brady have these weapons around him? Well, when he was setting those records, right? Back in 2007, 2008, when he had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and those, terrific weapons on him. Yes, when great quarterbacks have these weapons, they're going to be inflated. They're going to look awesome and fantastic. But if we look at the majority of Tom Brady's career, he has not had these kinds of weapons in his arsenal. And he's still been the best quarterback, the gold standard in the NFL. With the Chiefs giving this kind of money to Mahomes, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do in the future in terms of keeping these pieces and, what they're going to have to let go. I know that they want to create a dynasty, but when quarterbacks, specifically quarterbacks, take up this much money of the salary cap, it is very hard to keep a good team around them and to build a winning team around them. And that's part of what made Tom Brady so good, was that he never wanted to be the highest paid quarterback up until just recently when he left the Patriots. But he always took these pay cuts so that his team around him could be, even better. So I think we're seeing a little bit of selfishness come out of Patrick Mahomes. He said that he wants to create a dynasty. He wants to keep this thing going as long as possible. Then why do you sign this kind of deal? Why not just sign a 10-year, $200 million contract, right? $20 million per year. It'll put you in the bottom half of the league in terms of salary. You're still getting $20 million per year. And you can re-sign Chris Jones. You can sign all of your weapons and there wouldn't be any issues. But no, he did not do that. And so I do not think that I believe that their Super Bowl window is being slammed shut pretty darn quickly. Now, I think they're going to be a viable talent in these next this next year or two, just because of these people that they do have under contract currently. But I do not think that they will be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL the same way that the Patriots were for the past 20 years. Solely because Patrick Mahomes is showing that he cares more about the money than he does about winning. And, so I'm comparing Mahomes to Brady, but even if we bring Aaron Rodgers into this conversation, for most of Aaron Rodgers' career, they've said he's been a generational quarterback, a terrific talent, has the arm strength, can do it all, can use his legs a little bit. And, he was the gold standard for a quarterback. Well, even if we look at Rodgers' career, when has he had these terrific weapons around him? You might say, oh, well, he had Jordy Nelson. Well, did Jordy Nelson make Aaron Rodgers look good, or did Aaron Rodgers make Jordy Nelson look good, right? Before his breakout year, who would ever known who Jordy Nelson was, right? There was nothing to compare back to. Like I said, if we look at, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, they were already putting up monster numbers when Alex Smith was the quarterback in Kansas City. So that's the slight difference. You might say Devontae Adams. Well, yeah, I do think that Devontae Adams is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. But again, who knows how he would have been if Aaron Rodgers was not the quarterback, right? There was that one year where Rodgers got hurt and missed most of the season, and the Packers offense really struggled. So, it could be one of those things where Rodgers is just making his receivers look a lot better than what they really are, right? When Jordy Nelson left the Packers, went to the Raiders, he sank. When James Jones left the Packers and went to the Raiders, he sank. There's all these, when Greg Jennings left the Packers and went to the Vikings, he wasn't the same receiver, right? So there's all these different, case studies of where Rodgers was making his receivers look a lot better than his receivers making Rodgers look good. And, we at this point, we can't really say the same thing about Patrick Mahomes and his receiving corps. So all of this to say, I do think that this was a necessary signing for the Kansas City Chiefs. You do not just let a generational quarterback go to free agency and just let him walk. You had to make this deal. I'm only fearful that, by signing this, they literally just close their Super Bowl window to just 1 or 2 years. They're not going to have the cap flexibility to make other moves to keep this roster together, to keep this roster strong and robust. 2 years ago, they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Last year, they went to the Super Bowl. I do believe that this coming year in the 2020 season, if, and that's a big if, there is a 2020 season, I do think that they will make it back to the AFC Championship game, but I have the Ravens advancing to the Super Bowl. So I do think that they're still going to be a top flight team. They're still going to be a perennial playoff team for the next decade or so. But I just don't think it's going to be a strong enough roster to make Super Bowl runs year after year after year. The way that we've seen the Patriots in these last 20 years make 9 Super Bowl appearances and 15 AFC Championship appearances, I just don't think that's happening. I don't think that we'll ever be able to see that again. A lot of people used to say, oh, I'm so angry at the Patriots. I can't wait till this is over. Oh, I don't like Tom Brady. I don't like the Patriots. But it's about appreciating what you're seeing in history, because we'll most likely never, ever see it again. So those are just my 2 cents on this Patrick Mahomes contract. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.
I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't gonna beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.